Hello and welcome to the STCfit Learning Podcast. I'll be your host today. My name's Ben Scott. I'll be joined by Jason Galea. Thanks for joining us on our way to create 1 million positive outcomes for personal training clients by 2030. The podcast is brought to you by @STCfit Learning, a page created to upskill and educate PTs and gym nerds. Also brought to you by @STCfit, and that's a place for all your online and in-person personal training needs. If you enjoyed today's episodes, please give us a share and tag on the Instawebs. You can tag @STCfit, @STCfit Learning, @BenScottSC, and @JasonGalea PC. Hope you enjoy the show. We are live. Welcome, Jason.
Back again. Welcome.
We are consistent at the moment. There's no, it's been a while. We are on the ball.
We're to the schedule.
Fortnightly still seems a little strange, if I'm honest, but it's becoming normal.
Yeah, at least the banter will be better because we haven't really done it for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I feel like I forget what's happened over a fortnight, though.
Yeah. Or what we spoke about last time.
Yeah. So how is life and training, Jason?
Good.
How's online PT life? I think that's the last thing we talked about.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, man. Bit of a transition. It's good. I've just got to get used to being at home and try and find other ways to, make sure I'm getting out, and doing other activities and stuff. So yeah, it's been a few moments where I'm just I feel a bit weird.
Yeah.
I've got heaps of tasks to do, and there's always something to do. But yeah, just it's good. It's good to have the bandwidth to do some things that I wasn't able to do before. But yeah, it's just that whole identity thing again. It's not in the gym, moved out to a different kind of role and stuff. So there's just that transition period, I think. But yeah, overall, everything's quite good.
There's an interesting space that exists between being busy enough that it encourages activity, and then having too much free time that you actually don't even meet what you're supposed to have done.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I think a lot of people will probably experience that too. When you've got a nice easy day with a couple of things to do, all of a sudden that turns into fuck, I didn't do the two things I was supposed to do.
Yeah, I think the workload wasn't really the issue at the end. So then now, because I'm not traveling around, a tiny bit more free time.
Yeah.
So then it's I'm what do I do now?
It's amazing how much that travel time makes a difference. Even because you don't think about the transition. It's just you think, it only takes me 15 minutes to get to the gym.
Yeah.
It's the 15 minutes that it takes to get prepared to go to the gym. And then when you get home from the gym and you chill out for 15 minutes, that turns into an hour and a half a day sometimes, especially if you're still doing split shifts and shit, it blows out real quick.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. The one notable thing that's good is just having ample time to train.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Don't really have to rush very often. So it's good.
How's the physique coming along?
Yeah, good. Pushing about 98 kilos at the moment.
So
that's the heaviest I've been in a while.
Yeah.
Not too bad in terms of conditioning. Nothing a 8-week cut won't fix.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've got a little bit of a quad problem at the moment. So I need to go and get that fixed. It's just I don't know how it happens. Just feels weird. It feels real deep in the muscle. So I need to go and get that sorted because it's stopping me from training my quads.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but other than that, everything's going well. So I jinxed myself. I said to someone, I haven't been injured in fucking ages. To the point where a little niggle here and there, I feel like everyone's got those, but it's a proper injury where I've had to alter training. I'm I haven't had one of them in so long. But yeah, here we are.
Surprise.
Having to work around that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Give my hammies an opportunity to grow into my quads now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm only a couple of kilos behind Joe, which is strange. We definitely hold it slightly differently.
Yeah.
Slightly less of
goal's a bit different. So
slightly more adipose tissue.
Yeah, maybe if we compared body composition, it might be a bit different, but that's not what we're doing here.
Yeah, I think this morning I was about 400 grams off my all-time highest weight, so mid 65s. 96s. But my belt felt loose today, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I've got a pair of jeans. Like if I can't put them on, it's bad.
Okay.
Those jeans still fit.
Yeah,
so I'm putting on weight and the jeans are fit, and we all good.
Yeah, everything I've got now is like stretch denim. Denim is life.
Yeah.
But I honestly didn't think I'd really make 100 for June, but we'll see. So obviously, if just perceptually, we'll see what the measurements show this week, but definitely feel like I'm getting leaner. So if that's happening, you probably can put some more food in and get the weight gain a little bit faster, but managing this shoulder thing as well. Standard prep.
Always something. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Standard prep elbow pain, but change my squat, just my grip. So tucking one finger underneath, thumb off, and then kind of like cranking my wrist underneath. So it almost like looks like it's hanging on your wrist, even though it's not.
Yeah.
And then cueing like a pull down into your back. I have a tendency to lift the bar.
Yeah.
Which obviously puts a lot of stress through that tendon. Yeah. Which my heavy set today, I noticed the last 2 reps were like, hey, you're picking that up again. Stop that.
Yeah. Well,
it's just default mode when it's heavy.
Wasn't that a cue at some point?
It depends. Some people say pull down. Some people say pull up or push up. It's
push up. Yeah.
It's and Will and I have actually been discussing. It's interesting. Hey, let's talk about something technical for once ever on the podcast. It's been a little while. Just about like creating, I guess, tension through the trunk, whether you actually need to retract your scapula during a squat.
Yeah.
So we're going to try over the next few weeks, not trying to get any retraction through the scap as such, like not consciously thinking about it, just depression. Yeah. So similar theory to like a deadlift. So if you create enough lat tension, that will essentially improve your core stability. So your whole trunk rigidity is still going to be there based on the lats being turned on.
Yeah.
And looking at the movement today, like it was getting up there, maybe 8.5 on the RPEs, and positioning and all that stayed pretty good. So be interesting to experiment with that. Not trying to like really drive those shoulder blades together.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've never really thought about retracting, but maybe just do it anyway. I don't know.
It tends to happen just based on like most people will have a grip that forces them to retract because their hands they're trying to get their hands in as close as they can because it feels tight.
Yeah.
So we're just going to try not doing that and just almost like down. Crank the wrist and pull down into the lat.
Like, not in from the scap. Well, it's kind of like the scap will be going kind of downward and in, not closer together.
Correct. Yeah, like a downward rotation. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, but brace feels good. So yeah, we'll see. I was surprised. I thought it'd take a little bit longer to learn just the grip.
Yeah.
But it feels okay. So we'll see if I put up 170 next week. That'll be a PB, and we can say it works.
Proof's there.
Yeah. I think I've only ever done 170 for 2 in sleeves. So if I hit 4, we're happy.
Yeah, that's mad.
So we have some other news we probably should talk about. Our merchandise pre-order is open right now. So if you're listening to this, you'll have a week left. Yep. Everything's done pre-order. We may have extra stock. We tend not to. So if you do want anything, don't message us in 2 weeks and be like, hey, can we get a hoodie? No, you can't, because there won't be any. So you've got a week. Just head to stcfit.com/merch. I'm pretty sure it is.
That is the one.
And you'll be able to get your hands on. We've got some new hoodies. We've got the hashtag Be Less Shit t-shirts, which I'm sure will go like hotcakes. And then all the barbell logo range there as well, and a heap of new colors, and hoodies, and got new girls singlets, I think, as well, girls tees. So
men's
new
men's
tanks.
Yeah.
Instead of just the muscle tops. So get over and have a look. You can send anywhere that you want as well. So
postage.
Yeah.
To anywhere.
We mentioned our trainer position was available last week. So just letting everyone know that has officially closed. So thanks for everyone that reached out for information about that. Some interviews this afternoon, which will be cool to meet some new people.
Very exciting.
And lastly, but definitely not least, the Standout PT program intake is now open. So round 2 will be kicking off on April 19. We are including typically some goodies for those that get in a little bit early as well. Some other resources and stuff that we have available to get you moving straight away. So yeah, jump on to stcfitlearning.com/standoutpt for all the information on that one, or just hit the link in our bio on Instagram, which is at STCfit_learning. For all the details, you put your details in there and we'll reach out for a chat as well. And just make sure it's actually suitable for where you're at in your business.
Yeah.
I think that's all.
They are the formalities.
Formalities sorted.
Starting with the formalities first. It's
organized today. Organized. Yeah, I just had my second coffee, which could go either way. I could either stop talking in 20 minutes and just go into this weird zone that I can see sound, or you won't be able to shut me up for the rest of the episode. So today we're going to talk about, which has actually been our topic for the Standout PT program this week, which is just communicating with clients effectively. I guess is something that's come up this week quite a bit. It's just like, what determines someone using the term coach versus trainer? We use the term personal trainer a lot more now, simply because like not every personal trainer is actually in fact a coach. And coaching behavior is something different. So I guess like we'll start there, Jace. Like if you were to define what makes a coach, because there really is no official definition in our industry, versus someone who's a trainer.
Yeah, so we at STCfit define coaching as the process that aims to facilitate a person's true potential. So if we look at that as in terms of coaching, the team and us are always doing our best when working with our clients to get that person to see the potential that they have and try and reach it. So then when we look at the difference between, say, a coach and a trainer, the biggest things that scream out are coaches are trying to prompt, probe, inspire other people to see potential in themselves and provide solutions to potential issues that they have, rather than the typical trainer who's telling someone, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest difference. Is a coach is an explorer of, thoughts and, and ideas and things like that, where a trainer is just cutting to the chase and saying, this is what you need to do. Now, there's definitely times when both those things are valuable. If you look at high performance sport, there's lots of trainers. There's no real we need to explore this issue. It's like, you need to be very good at this. So you should do this and you should do it this way.
Yeah, 100%.
When you're working with the general population, it's very important that we kind of adopt some of the coaching mentality, because we're working with a lot of people where it's not high performance sport. Their life doesn't depend on it. Their livelihood doesn't depend on it. There's other factors involved, and, it doesn't sit as high up in the totem pole. So we need to have these strategies to explore things and get these people to identify things that they can commit to and that they're willing to do for you or for them. It's going to move them towards the goalpost. So there's a lot of people out there that, will call themselves coaches. And I think the most frustrating thing about that is when you actually look at the way they deliver their quote, air quote coaching, it's just telling people what to do and not really problem solving or exploring issues on an individual basis. So it's like, are you a coach or are you a trainer? And then there's that, in our opinion, a distinct difference in terms of service and ability to, charge the worth of coaching that really separates separates businesses from other businesses. And I think in the online space and just in this digital age, there's a real need and desire for coaches, proper coaches in the market. Because, it takes, when we move into this digital age, we're taking the personality and the personification away from this service. And if we're good coaches with the skills to be one and to have good coaching, we can kind of bridge that gap. And that's what people want, because they want good connections with others. And coaching's about, and personal training in general is about relationships. And this is how you forge really good ones. So, and that can lead down to a wide variety of things. We talk about repeat business, advocacy, walking, talking billboards, those kind of things for the coaches out there. And then from the client perspective, it's like, think about the client experience. It's like, they have someone who understands them, who's trying to explore things with them. So again, it's about the client, it's about that person. So they're going to feel, much more comfortable opening up to someone who's not, that dictator, why did you do this kind of thing that you spoke about in the workshop yesterday with a perfect example.
Yeah, I like the comparison to the high performance sport. So I think if you look at like even team sports, individual sports, if you're looking at like high end, like even Olympic stuff, typically there's a coach. So you might have like a defensive coach who works with the personalities, puts together the strategy, works with leadership on developing the personnel, developing culture, all of that sort of shit. And then you have someone that runs drills. Yeah. So the person that runs the drills is the trainer, and the coach is the person that puts all of those pieces together and how they all need to work. So, and just like that, like we talked about yesterday, like sometimes there's like, hey, like we're not going to ask our client how to write their program. Like there is an element of that, but if we do need to ask our clients how to maximize the program, if we're not taking into consideration their current settings across a wide range of areas, then the program's not going to be very effective. I guess where this sort of starts is in the language that we use with clients. So a lot of people are familiar with the term NLP, so neuro-linguistic programming. Of all the things that we've said on this podcast that I can't fucking pronounce, I get that one right all the time. So there's a lot of stuff with NLP, and most people attribute it to sales. But it is really important just to understand. I think there's a lot of value in understanding the way people respond to things that you say and how you say them and the way you structure a sentence and stuff like that. The most simple, I guess, example of NLP in my experience is don't picture a purple elephant. Straight away, you see a purple elephant. You can't not. So it's like telling someone, don't eat chocolate. It's like, fuck, now I want to go get some chocolate.
Yeah.
And a good example I've heard for the face-to-face guys, like, look, I know you're really tired. I just need 3 more sets. It's like, fuck, yeah, I am really tired. It's just like those little things are like, okay, that sort of thing starts to add up. And that's, again, is going to be the difference between you being a coach and being a trainer and just telling someone and just kind of saying shit sometimes. Like,
yeah,
you think you're saying the right thing and being supportive, like, oh, look, Jace, I know you're tired, mate, but I just need a little bit more. It's like, well, I wasn't, but now I fucking am.
Like, do I look tired?
Yeah. It's like that those early mornings when you walk into work and you're like, yeah, I feel all right today.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
Fuck, bro, did you just wake up? Fuck off.
Yeah. Dude, I used to get that a lot. You look really tired. I'll just go fuck myself.
Meanwhile, you've like got up early, showered, had 2 coffees. You're feeling fucking good as.
Yeah. 100%. Like, language wise, for those people that aren't familiar with NLP, you don't, like, I'm not that versed in NLP. Like, I didn't really do the course. I didn't really go through and read all the books and stuff. But I think it's important to, as trainers, like, be great at one of the things that is within our scope, and that's to be a good motivator. And knowing how to do that is super important. And it comes down to language and presence and body language and those kind of things. Like something as simple as just like leaving your shit at the door not using negative language, not, asking and probing them to talk about negative things when they're about to walk into a set, trying to set everything up so it's repeatable, and just giving them the minimum amount of information for them to process to do something and perform at their best. It's really, really cool stuff. Like, even if you look at the research just on like how we can set other people up to perform better just by how we talk, and how we guide them through something as simple as, feedback from a squat into the next set, telling people this is what you need to do before your session, during and after. Just that affirmation of like knowing the plan is enough for that person to perform better than if you didn't tell them. So all those things are super important. And I guess are things that, we talked about it yesterday as well. It's like doing enough and having impact. And it's like, these are the things where like you're having impact on that person. That's kind of like, you don't have to do this. Like, no one has to do this stuff. But if you want to have impact as a coach, how you talk to them and what you do and going a little bit above and beyond and taking care of all those angles can do something as simple as make someone push harder from one set to another, or from the workouts when they train with you to the workouts that they train with on their own. It's like, when you train by yourself, go through all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And this is how you do it. And that's all about delivery. And you need, and if we don't deliver things properly and we don't use the proper language, the reception's not there. Execution's going to be, execution's going to, I guess, like suffer is probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a cool way of looking at it, and we've spoken about this before, is like a personal training session is a performance. Like you said, like leaving your shit at the door, being present for the client, giving that feedback, making sure that that entire session is about them. Like all of that stuff is a performance of what a personal trainer is, or a coach is. And I think a lot of trainers get lost in that they're almost looking for as much for them as they are looking to give to the client. And it really just needs to be the other way around. Yeah. I really like even just little things that will change the way you behave, like your client's results, putting yourself in a position where your client results are their results. It's like all you did was facilitate it with all the stuff. Like you gave them the direction and all of that they needed. They did the work. It was their outcome. Those little things, I think, put you in a better position that you'll automatically use better language. Like Jay said, you don't necessarily need to go read every NLP book there is and learn how to like attribute a thigh. And this is the shit that NLP does. If you get really deep into it, you can actually set people up for emotional triggers based on touching a certain part of their body and shit like that. You don't need any of that. A lot of it comes from intent. And then like in going out maybe after this podcast and investigating this stuff a little bit further would allow you then to just be better at it. There'll be less trial and error of like, oh, fuck, I tried that and it didn't really work. Like you're tired thing. Just learning little bits and pieces like that will actually make you a better communicator with your clients.
Yeah. Yeah. People really undervalue like how being a good what being a good communicator can, give to them, their clients and their business. Like asking, like forming better relationships, building trust, having better conversations, obtaining better information, real-time, accurate information. It's all going to help with decision-making. At the end of the day, we're hired to make decisions to guide this person or help this person make decisions, but guide them, to the destination. And that can't be done on a false foundational relationship built with no trust. Yeah, that person's just going to lie to you. They're just going to give you white lies or tell you half truths and stuff. And so you're never going to get to the root cause of any problem, which means the likelihood of achieving anything substantial is going to be very small. So you're not going to get outcomes with this person, and you're not going to work with them for a long period of time. So your business suffers as well.
Yeah, 100%. Moving on to what I guess the crux of putting together how we communicate and what we're trying to achieve with our clients and who we deal with, and even with the trainers that we deal with as well. Our goal is to ask 200% more than we tell. So there's always, the goal is always to have whether it be a trainer we're working with or a client that we're working with, the goal is to have them tell us what they need to do. Because most people already know, they've already got the ability to do it. They just need to be conscious of it for a minute. And if you can empower them to feel like they have the answer, you'll get much better buy-in from them deciding what needs to happen next.
Yeah.
And this starts from in between sets of a squat. How did that feel? The amount of clients that trainers that actually don't even ask that question. It's just like, oh, your heel lifted, you tip forwards, you need to change this, and this. It's like, yeah, how did it feel though? Yeah, maybe you just totally missed something that they can identify for you that would make problem solving that so much easier.
Yeah.
And then that would allow them to think about it next time. Well, how did that feel? And then when they're training without you, they might actually be able to apply that themselves.
Yeah, well, something simple as that can differentiate whether it's a setup problem or a queuing problem. If you don't know that, you miss that potential opportunity, and then you go and change someone's total setup, and then it feels even worse. So then you're taking 2 steps backwards when all you need to do is just say, hey, how'd that feel?
Yeah. Imagine pulling apart someone's squat and then them saying at the end of it, or alternatively, you missed out on them just saying, yeah, I just fucking missed my race. Hey.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay. Like, we don't actually need to change your entire technique. You just need to brace better.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculously common. Like, most of this shit is skill based with what we do. But we like to play like, oh, it's complicated and I need to like movement assessment shit and get nerdy on it. So we want to put the feet out, change the angle of of your feet and move the bar position, all that sort of stuff, because it makes us feel really clever. But at the end of the day, it was just like, get someone to brace better and it solves the problem. Efficacy for the client.
Yeah. I think one thing that's always screamed out to me is that the difference between, say, like, or that leap to being a specialist, to being an expert, like that jump, and the biggest gap that you see is the questions and the amount of them.
Yeah.
So a specialist or an expert will sit back and ask as many questions as they need to get that person talking. Nothing unnecessary, but they're all precise questions. And then they'll be sitting back and analyzing, and the solution will be, a very small, quick, short, sharp, you need to do this, because they've asked enough to go, yeah, this is the issue. And I think that that's something that we should always really strive towards. Like, get the client talking, get the person talking, whether it's in the consult, in your session. It's like, probe to get them to elaborate. Never think you know the answer. Always clarify that you guys are on the same page. We all use different jargon. What words come out of someone else's mouth could mean something totally different to what you're interpreting and hearing. So you need to say, I'm just making sure this is what you're saying. And then it's like, all right, this is kind of what we could do, or what do you think's the solution to this or something?
Yeah. So obviously we've touched on probably the bottom end of that scenario, which is like, how did that set feel? Which is like the fundamentals of interpreting just a movement, which is your job as a trainer. Going all the way to the other end of that, we all know that the number one factor of getting outcomes is quote unquote adherence, right? So consistency and accuracy to the plan is what is going to get someone's results. So instead of, you didn't hit your macros, do better. Like, what can you ask? Where can you probe? What can you figure out with working with the client to actually get them to edit their behavior next week? And I guarantee that just telling them, you didn't do your steps more next week, or like, your macros were out by X percentage, you need to be within this percentage, that's probably not going to work with most people.
Yeah. And I think, like, one thing that we really try to do in Standout PT and the coaching part of it is get people to put themselves in the shoes of the client. It's like, understand why people don't give you information. Ben and I experienced it even working with coaches. It's like, people either think they know enough and know what they know. So they're not going to ask you any more questions to try and, discover and learn new things, right? So that's one reason why they'll never ask questions to you, and you've got to probe and prompt them. The next thing from there is like people are afraid to ask questions, to come across as looking weak or stupid. It's something that every single person on this podcast either experiences regularly or has in the past, and will probably continue to in the future. So again, if we know that, it's like these people just aren't going to go openly go, Jace, I'm really struggling with this at the moment. So we have to then go, okay, we've got to find a way to explore these situations with people. Mm-hmm. And the last one is like, sometimes people don't ask questions because they don't want to confront the answer.
Yeah.
The answer is exactly what they need to hear, but they're trying to avoid it. So that's where it's putting your big boy or big girl pants on, and it's like having that adult conversation that's super fucking awkward, but everyone feels better at the end.
Yeah.
Everyone feels better coming out of that. So we can put ourselves in the shoes of other people, and we can understand that that's how they think. And we know asking questions is the most important thing to providing solutions. Then we go through we like to go through a framework of how to explore and investigate, identify, validate, and explore. So that's how we like to formulate questions to open the discussion and get the client to feel comfortable, and then find a solution to the issue. And then by the end of that conversation, we've got some really, really direct action to work with. But like Ben said, if we cut to the chase and we just say, why haven't you done this? It's like, think about, whenever anyone says, why haven't you done this? Like you instantly, your body language changes, the voices in your head change, you kind of cower into this like flexed fetal position, and you instantly defend yourself.
It's a fun little experiment. And we did this on the call yesterday, and it was amazing just to watch, obviously having all the screens of the guys up and watching the body language actually shift. So if you're listening at the moment, just think about because everyone's got one, unless you had a fucking perfect week, which I know you didn't. Think about a KPI that you were supposed to hit with, whether it's your training or your business last week. Whatever is probably going to have the most emotional trigger for you. Just put that thing in your head, like whether it was like you didn't put your stories up on Instagram like you were supposed to, you didn't sign up a client like you were supposed to, you didn't get all your workouts in, you missed your macros, whatever it is, just sign that thing in your head. And then just imagine me coming down the line full barrel. Why didn't you do that, Jess? How come it's not done? You said it was going to get done.
Yeah.
Now we're here a week later, it's not done.
Even this is the second time I'm hearing this, and I've just instant defense mode. I don't even want to process what you just said to me. Like my heart's starting to beat a bit faster. Maybe that's the caffeine. I don't know.
Jace wants to fight me through the computer.
But it's like, it's just that it's such negative language.
Yeah.
It's like we're getting told off. Like I've got visions of doing something wrong when I was younger and being told off for it. So it's just like, fuck. Deer at the headlights. I don't know what to do.
So there's we all obviously know the fight or flight response, but that's literally everyone will have felt one or two, one of those feelings. It's either you got your back up straight away and you wanted to fight me, to be like, no, fuck you. This happened, so I didn't get it done. Or you went, oh, fuck, and wanted to cower into a hole and hide somewhere and just not look at me and put the blanket over your head. Versus, hey, Jace, how did you go with this last week?
Yeah. Way more comfortable.
Oh, okay. So, is there anything you found got in the way? Why do you think that didn't come together last week? Oh, sweet. Is there something that we reckon we could do differently next week? Mad. And how would you set that up? What would you do differently? Yeah, sick. All right. So let's put that in place and see how it goes. We'll check in next week and see how you went with it. Yeah. Fuck, that conversation just went from way up here to just a normal. Fuck, Ben feels like he has this conversation every single day. I'm like all the other clients who all struggle with this shit. We're all learning, instead of I'm the only person that's fucking this up and everyone else in the world is perfect.
Yeah.
It's such a different just environment to put your clients in. And even as a coach,
yeah,
I feel fucking better. And this is a role play. I feel better having explained it that way than I did when I was trying to jump down Jason's throat, because it's Such an easier way to communicate.
No one wants to do that. No one wants to feel that way. And like, if you're that person who sits there pulling your hair and is like, oh, I just want to work with robots. I just want everyone to do as I say. Like, newsflash, not going to find many of those unless you're really good at your job and attract a certain type of clientele. I'm going to go and say that retention's not going to be that great with that clientele anyway, because they're only there for a specific amount of time for a specific reason. So you're going to have to learn how to have these conversations with people. But like Ben just articulated, they're so simple and they're so easy. And then you can leave that conversation or leave your check-in or whatever, knowing that you've given someone something practical, you fulfilled your obligations, and you can move on. You don't have to have that voice in your head because you haven't addressed the issue. You've just told someone they should do something, but there's no honoring of that because that person's just been met with like, fuck, I'm just going to say whatever I need to say. So this person stops yelling at me essentially. And then you kind of, that problem stays with you until you speak to this person next. Like that will wear you down as a coach with 30, 40, 50 clients, whatever, over however many years, that'll wear you down.
And that's the coach that wants to say, I got the result.
Yeah.
Because they micromanage that client so hard that look at the results that I was able to get out of them, rather than empowering the client to make choices week to week. And then you don't have to sit with it all day because it's their responsibility. You've empowered them to do that. You've fulfilled your end of the bargain. And like all of a sudden your client's actually developing confidence and all of that along the way. And they actually are able to just have conversations with you, not rely so heavily on you. And the irony of that is they actually stay longer.
Yeah.
What's interesting just on Jason's point there in terms of like hang out with some coaches that train some fucking high-end lifters. Like you're talking double-figured lifters at Pro Raw and shit like that in powerlifting. Their clients deal with the same shit. Like I do the same shit that my clients do. Like, bro, this week was crazy with work. My steps were under, or I didn't eat enough, or whatever. Like my recovery sucked because I fucking sat down all day. Like that stuff still happens even working, even though I would be considered to most trainers their ideal client because I'm for the most part a robot and will do what I'm told. There's still life. Like it's very, very few people that don't have life. So if you're unable to work with your client to navigate that, it's gonna be really tough.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
I feel like I'm interested to get your perspective on this too. Like coming back to more of a business aspect, your ability to manage a large client book increases by doing this. If you're able to have that positive based conversation, set the tone for the following week and move on, the client's really clear of what needs to happen, how they're going to do it and what they need to do. You can have that conversation 30, 40, even 50 times. Going in and having to have like a confrontational based conversation that you probably need to follow up in 2 days to make sure they're fucking doing what they're told. It's going to be real hard to manage 40 people like that.
Yeah. Even just energy wise, like I don't know if I could take on that much. Like it's not conflict, but it kind of is the first. It's the first grade of it. Like I don't know if I could take that on with the magnitude of people. It's just bad energy, bad vibes. Like you just be worn out of like you do 2 check-in days and you feel like you've done 5. And it's so much more productive and positive, allowing that person to at least be half involved or involved to a degree where you can honor or they can honor what's supposed to be done, like what the action points are or like what the compelling reasons to not doing it are. It's like, okay, let's have an honest conversation about this. And it's like, well, what are we going to do? As long as there's some form of participation from both parties, it's a much better process than taking it all upon yourself. It's the whole like Saturday night out with my wife for dinner, thinking about clients.
Fuck that.
Like, that's it. It was just like enough is enough. And I used to do that. And there's people out there that do it now. It's like that comes from this, not doing this and not having this and not having acknowledging that like opening up the conversation to be like, if you're okay with this, then I'm okay with it. So that's one. And that comes from effective communication. But also, if you're not okay with it as the coach, you need to explore if that person is first, or provide a practical solution to the problem that other person has either come up with themselves or agreed to do.
Yeah.
And then you can just, disconnect from that for that immediate time until you revisit that, whatever your review period is to reviewing that, which should be a decent amount of time to let them just get into it. But yeah, if you don't do that, you're just wearing yourself the fuck out.
Yeah. So as a business owner running a business, effective communication will allow you to get better outcomes for your clients, build better relationships with your clients, which will mean they'll stay longer. You'll be able to apply this during, even in your just like your content language, how you communicate will improve. Do you know what the best example of this is? Trainers that share shit like, the comparisons of like night out, $120, too expensive. Personal training, $80.
Yeah.
Too expensive. It's like that. Nothing drives me up the wall more than that. It's like you're just telling everyone you can't provide enough value to your clients. That's what you're posting right now. It's like, I'm offended you don't want to pay me because I couldn't show you more value than going out for fucking dinner. Like, that's on you, bro. Sorry. Anyway, tangent. So that kind of mindset though, like if you can improve the way you communicate in your social media content, in your phone calls, in your consults, in your sales stuff, where you're actually asking for input from the client. So imagine sitting down and being like, how many times do you think you can train each week? Oh, 3. Okay, cool. Like for the goal that you have, like 4 would probably be ideal, but let's build off 3 and then see if we can add 1 long term. How would you manage them? When would you do them? How are you going to set that up? All of a sudden, this client's building this vision. We talk about test closes and shit all the time. They're building this vision of how all this is going to work. It's like, yeah, I can actually make that happen. And then all of a sudden, like people come to us all the time. Well, how do you deal with objections? Well, if you're getting the objection that I don't have time, you didn't ask the right questions. You didn't paint a vision of how this person's going to achieve their goals based on this model, which comes back to coaching-based communication. So you're signing more people up at a better percentage. Because of that and your interactions on the way through, you're able to charge more. They stay longer, so you're actually spending less time doing free shit. Your net increase of income has gone up. You can manage more people without emotional burnout at the end of the week. So you can have more clients. I'm not going to put a percentage on it, but fuck, like I'm thinking 30 to 40% revenue increase just by applying this effectively. Not to mention the removal of like feeling fucking exhausted and stressed every day.
That's enough on its own, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, like that little thing about getting clients the results that they pay you for. It's usually why most of us get in here, because we like helping people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I was just looking for a statistic. So we talk about retention a lot. And I acquired this from the Harvard Business Review. So acquiring a new customer is anywhere from 5 to 25 times more expensive than retaining an existing one. So if you're an effective communicator, you've got a good service, take this client-based model, everything's kind of set up to, facilitate potential in this person to move them towards whatever destination it is, which is their goals. It's highly likely they're going to stay. So you now have 5 to 25 times the resources to do something else with. And if you get really good at that, all of a sudden your retention rate might be 12 months, 2 years, face-to-face, in my opinion, should be over 12 months, just given what we've experienced. You now have the scope to do other things. Rather than if you find that every 12 weeks or whatever your minimum term is, you're just churning through clients, it's highly likely you're missing one of these fragments, if not all of them.
Yep.
Like you're not communicating with this person doesn't have a good relationship with you, your service isn't really kind of solving the outcomes that they want. they're not happy with what they've received or what they got promised, you need to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
Or you're just attracting the wrong person.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like talking about going to bed thinking about your clients. I think what has allowed us, and people ask like, oh, how did you transition from like just in Bunny, it's just a PT. Oh, I hate that fucking saying. From just a PT to like moving into education and helping other trainers and all that sort of stuff. And I think if we're honest, it started from trying to offer better service to our client, which meant we needed to create systems, which then, because we had systems, we were able to teach that to other people. Yeah. So, and I don't know if you're the same, Jace, but like, I still think about business and training and shit when I go to bed, but I don't think about that one client who's not adherent and how shitty I am about it and the confrontation I've got to have with them tomorrow and tell them off for doing whatever. I think about like, how do I get this movement assessment model to work that it's really transparent for the client? Any trainer can look at it and interpret it. Thanks, Mav.
Sirens going off.
Like that's the shit that I sit around and ponder now. Like it instead of being stressed and like, fuck, how do I get this result? I get to develop stuff and evolve things and create concepts. Is way more fun.
My dogs decided to let the whole neighborhood know that there were sirens going off.
Yeah, the sirens aren't loud enough, so Cleo and Mav need to inform everyone in the neighborhood.
Yeah,
there is in fact an emergency.
Yeah, that is legit the definition of like that howling. Low key love it. I low key love it. Yeah. It's not when I'm podcasting.
Inconvenient time, but
yeah,
it sounds really cool.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So yeah, I think we're just talking about like you're freeing up, I guess, that like intellectual energy. Is that a thing? Let's make that a thing.
Yeah, we got to divide it up, I guess.
Yeah, just being able to think about developing shit rather than just dealing with clients. I'm using air quotes a lot today, guys, and you can't see it, but if I emphasize a word, it typically means I'm doing bunny ears as well. Yeah.
I think it's again, we come back to that kind of energy that we have and that bandwidth that we have, and it's like what's kind of taking away, what's taking that bandwidth away from us that doesn't really serve that much of a purpose. Like it's a negative thing. Like you thinking about investments for your business or investments for our business in terms of time, resources, assets, those kinds of things. Like that's a positive use of someone's bandwidth and energy. Worrying about such and such client that's having this issue that you haven't rectified or created any action for or whatever, and then even having not just one of those, but maybe 3 or 4 of them, it's like that is a negative like use of your bandwidth that's not going to serve you very well at all.
Yeah, 100%.
You can find a way to mitigate that as much as possible. You then have the advantage of positively using your bandwidth for things like assets for your business and creativity and, disconnect for downtime and, hobbies and all of those things without having that. It's like, when you eat dinner and you watch a movie, but the fucking kitchen is a mess. So you're watching the movie, you're trying to relax, but that there's that oven dish that's going cold and it's got some crusty ass shit on it, and you got to clean that. And it's like, you got to let that soak. You got to boil the kettle to like make it softer and shit. And you got to be scrubbing away with some elbow grease later. So you're thinking about all of that whilst you're watching this movie. Like you can't fully relax. You can't fully enjoy this downtime. That is the same thing. It's like if you just nip those things in the bud and address them the way they should, you can go and watch your movie and relax and not have anything to worry about, and you enjoy it and you feel rested and you can pay attention and concentrate and all of those things. And then you can go into whatever other thing you've got to do with maximum focus.
Yeah, 100%. The next topic I guess we need to touch on is how do you actually take this? Because everything we sort of talked about today is primarily you'd be looking at this through a face-to-face lens. How do you actually take that online?
Yeah.
What are the considerations to being, when people say like, I'm not ready to go online, I think effective communication is the hardest thing to transfer from being in the gym face-to-face to then being an online coach. That's why they're called online coaches, not often online personal training, because it requires this coaching element.
Yeah.
Just for who it attracts as well. What strategies would you be looking at taking it to the online space?
So we look at the benefits of a face-to-face model. Say human interaction and contact that separates that online and face-to-face, and is why forming good relationships and having good conversations, if we are educated in coaching behavior and language, we can have good conversations with people and formulate problems and create solutions. We need to find a way to bridge that gap into the online space. So we either need to consider adjuncts to the service we provide, or how we actually put our service together from the ground up. So it's like, when I think about the client experience and I think about how I'm going to put this model together to service the problems of my clients, and actually they're going to enjoy it and we're going to get good outcomes, I need to consider some form of interactive, coach to client thing, whether it's some Zoom lessons or Zoom calls, every now and then, catching up when you need to. Or what we like to do is a hybrid reach model, effective questioning framework within the check-in procedure. So we will prompt problem solving, exploration of issues, prompting solutions from the client within the check-in process. And then we will try and, identify, clarify, explore, and honor whatever it is that they're talking about. And we'll do that whilst trying to form a relationship with that person, either doing some coaching sessions every now and then via Zoom, or something as simple as a video reply to them in their check-in, rather than it being text all the time, just to let them know that there's a real person on the other side of that. They can hear your language, they can see your body language, they can listen to your tone, because I know when you read something to when someone says it to you, depending on what mood you're in, you will read that very, very differently.
Especially
if you're one of those, like, well, maybe if someone's reading my responses,
that's what I mean.
I don't read anything with hostility because I'm just so direct. But if you were having a bad day and you read a text message from someone like myself, you would think I'm having a crack.
Yeah.
And, that would change your reception to the information that's being presented in the check-in and all those kind of things. So you should always be trying to bridge the gap in the online space. And I think that's where this whole like coaching and training thing separates. This is where the price point separates. This is where the client experience gets separated too, because it's about the individual. It's not about just servicing someone who wants the goal. Like, you can service a demographic by training them. You service an individual by coaching them.
Yeah.
Because it's the nuances, it's the lifestyle, the bandwidth, the responsibilities, the goals, the this, the that. That's all the stuff that needs to be coached for somebody. Their own abilities, their own, breakdowns in form, for example, for the technical people out there, that's coaching. But training a 30 to 35-year-old female for fat loss, that's training. Like, without any problem solving, that's calorie deficit, program focused around glutes and shoulders, whatever volume that it is based off their training age. See you later.
Yeah.
And that's a distinct different service, distinct different price point, different client experience, all of those kind of things. So you just got to make the decision with your business about who you want to be and get good at. If you want to be a coach, you've got to get good at having these conversations and exploring things and bridging this gap in this online space.
Yeah. And a little hot tip. They both take similar amounts of time. They both take similar amounts of energy once it's all set up.
Yeah.
And you probably make 100% more as a premium coach versus a low-end trainer.
Yeah.
I think that's really important. The other thing that I would add to your online experience is something that we do unconsciously well, is the resource side of things. Because we're familiar with this coaching language, when we create a resource, it's through the lens of coaching, not telling. So it's like, here's something that we find comes up really often with people. Here's some potential solutions that might work for most people, or we've found work for most people. Try implementing it this, and this way. It's never, if you have this, do this. Like, it doesn't, even our nutrition stuff, I know mine in particular is like, there's like a tiered model based on where you're at. So like everyone I work with at the moment tracks macros. Some are willing to track macros and fiber. Some are willing to make sure that they have 6 colors of vegetables every day. Some of them are willing to eat 6 colors, some raw, some cooked vegetables every day. Like, there's different levels that people are willing to go with their nutrition. Some people are willing to eat the same food 7 days a week. Some are willing to do it 5. Some of them are reactive all the time. And that's built into the way we explain setting up a client's nutrition process, because it allows them to find a model that's going to work for them. And again, coming back to the what gets clients results, consistent adherence to the plan.
Yep.
So your job is to find the furthest along the spectrum that you can actually achieve consistency to the plan. Yep. You go too far, you get no adherence, and it's actually worse than being a couple of notches back.
Yeah. Agree. Totally.
Awesome. I don't know. I feel like that covers a lot for everyone. Any resources you would suggest maybe guys go look into to pursue this a little bit further?
Well, they should do Standout PT.
Yeah, good.
Definitely. 100%.
Correct answer.
Because that'll give them a lot of business direction as well.
Yeah.
Track the clients they want, build a service that, helps solve problems that these people have. And then we teach them how to have really good relationships with them. So it all leads to a better client experience and better outcomes. So that's a good one.
I think another good one would be and yes, we're plugging, whatever, come at me. The business scorecard that's on our website, STCfitlearning.com/scorecard. What that will do is actually tell you where your business stinks. So
you answer the questions honestly.
Yeah. And if you score over 80% on the mindset one, you're lying. Do it again. So look, I think the benefit of that, and we talk about this all the time, like, your business will only grow as much as you do. So how many scorecards have we had come through? Like, dozens and dozens of them now. The be great section, so your technical proficiency, most of them are over 90%. Most people that come through and fill that out are really fucking confident that they can get a client the outcome based on their technical proficiency. It's the business model that sucks. It's the service that sucks. It's those things. Part of your client service is this stuff. So if you're only spending time listening to podcasts that are specifically about getting better at being a personal trainer, if you're only doing courses that are specifically about being better at the technical skills of being a personal trainer, programming, nutrition, understanding like fucking Krebs cycle and shit like that, and you've got this huge hole in your service where you actually don't know how to communicate, maybe pick up a book that's a little bit more personal development based. Maybe learn some strategies for yourself, try them on yourself that you can then give to your clients. Maybe start building a more complete foundation that you can then leap from to train your clients, rather than just like, I'm real fucking good at programming. Don't get me wrong, technical proficiency is very, very important.
Agreed.
But if you're super technical proficient, but either no one wants to stay working with you or start working with you, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I think the first thing you could do is just go from I to we. If you sit back and think about your business as it's set up for other people and not for you, because you don't pay yourself, like you don't work with yourself. You're setting this up for a group of people, so you're working with others, and that this whole thing's for them. Like STCfit's for the people, not for us. You know, we like being here for the ride, but it's 1 million positive outcomes by 2030. You know, so everything's set up around that for the people. So the way we talk is for the people. The way we set things up is for the people. The way we deliver these courses is for the people. So if you change just that alone, how you walk, talk, and act totally changes.
Yeah.
And then what you look for changes. And then how you create things changes, because you're not creating this stuff for you. You're not talking about for you. You're talking for other people, and you're creating things for other people. So that's the first place I would start. And then, yeah, like anything that's going to help you be an effective communicator and understand other people and understand your clients better. You know, this is where, again, Standout PT really thrives, is understanding who the person is that you work with. What's their problems? Why haven't they gotten to where they are already? How can you help them? And it's like, that'll all help you form better relationships with them.
Awesome. Do you have any books off the top of your head? I'm just looking at that.
No, I don't, to be honest, man. Like I haven't really, I don't know. Like, I feel like when we did the fire up coaching or whatever, there was just so many things that I was doing that I didn't know I was doing. And I just never really kind of took a dive down there. I think hanging out with you guys was really good, really valuable for me. So I don't really have a specific resource where it's like, hey, this is how I became an effective communicator. But I'm willing to own my shit too, though. Yep. So it's like, you know, being that direct, like just do it kind of person. Like I got to a point where I realized it just wasn't going to work. You know, whether that was an influence of other people or what. So I can't really give you a specific thing because I've been doing this for that long. It's like I can't remember.
Yeah, I've just opened my Audible. It's interesting. Sometimes it's just like learning about human behavior allows you to communicate better, because you start to formulate an understanding of why people behave the way that they do. So if you're struggling with communication, obviously pursue direct communication stuff like NLP, and if you can get some mindset coaching resources, all that sort of shit like that will help you directly as well. But the indirect stuff, like I've got here, Sapiens is a really interesting read, like just understanding why people behave the way they do. Like if you're out there like fucking all these keto zealots, it's like, okay, take a step back. Why are they zealots around that? Yeah. Why are they behaving that way? Because if you're just going, you're a fucking keto zealot, what are the chances of them going, oh, fuck, you're right. You know what? Let's eat some carbs. Yeah. It's probably not going to happen. So starting to understand that stuff, I think, is really important. Legacy is a good one by James Kerr. A nice little sports theme as well, which is fun. Where are we?
The 7 habits of highly effective people is good to know, because it, you know, there's like I guess like traits of like leadership and stuff in there, and like how to interact with people. So that's definitely like, that one's a book where it ticks all the boxes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like if you're listening to this podcast, you need to get that book.
Yeah.
And read it.
And pretty much anything by Simon Sinek as well.
Yeah,
so I've got Start With Why, Leaders Eat Last, Find Your Why. They're all really, really good. Courage to Be Less Liked. I've seen some reviews go either way on that one. I really enjoyed it. Again, understanding like a little bit around human psychology and stuff like that. Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life is good. They're probably the main ones that stand out. Actually, I'm currently reading Beyond Entrepreneurship 2.0, which is a Jim Collins book. It requires a little bit of thought to then apply this to your coaching model. It's about leadership. It's about leading businesses and being a quality entrepreneur. If you're interested in leading a team of trainers and stuff, it's very directly correlated. But the concepts, if you're able to take concepts and plug them into shit, you don't need necessarily a direct application. It's really valuable as well, just like how to actually behave like a leader.
Yeah. I think like anything in that leadership kind of space book wise is going to be super valuable. Like, because that's essentially like how you need to understand working with a tribe of people, how they think, how you should act, how you should interact, you know, and those books allow you to understand people and think and act in a certain way. Is it, what's the book? Is it Thinking Fast and Slow? How they have the framework?
I don't think I've read that one.
Yeah, I think there's like two systems. You start with one and you move to the other, maybe. I don't know. Well, there you go. I'll go read it again. But like
we'll put it in the story.
Yeah, those things are valuable. Like that particular topic is valuable. Like leadership as a trainer, as a coach, as a business owner who's got staff and clients and all that kind of stuff it's gonna serve you quite well.
Yeah. So I think there's two quotes that I think you guys can take away from today. One is one of my favorites, which is true leadership doesn't need an announcement.
Yeah.
So if you have to announce that you're a leader, it's probably not it. And the other one is one that Jason uses all the time to open the door for really good conversation. I'm really curious.
We're always curious.
And mean it. But be curious about why your clients are behaving the way that they are, why you're behaving the way that you are, why these things aren't coming together. Will elevate you in your business real fucking quick.
Being curious makes people comfortable. So they will be honest with you.
Yeah. Awesome.
Very productive chat.
At STCfit /merch for clothing out now. www.stcfitlearning.com /standoutpt to apply for that. That kicks off April 19. Obviously at STCfit_learning on the Instagram. At Jason Galea _STC, at Ben Scott STC for myself. If you want to watch us lift weights and Jason talk about getting jacked, and me talk about look, feel, lift, strong as fuck.
That's it.
I stink. I'm going to go have a shower, and we'll see you guys in a fortnight.
Hey guys.
Bye.